Hello and welcome, my tied-up guinea pigs, to another episode of Bloons TD Science. In this video, what we're going to do is we're trying to discover things about the super monkey that we might not have otherwise have known. So the main thing that I actually really want to dive into here is the Robo Monkeys, and whether or not they were worth it to just keep a basic Robo Monkey or upgrade to a Laser Blast or Plasma Blast, or whether or not it's actually more efficient to go for a knockback or an Ultra Vision. Now, with all of these BTD Science episodes, we can never be 100% accurate because testing can only go so far, and real-life examples are almost always better. But we can get a basic idea of what we're dealing with these tests. So, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy. If you are, make sure you press that like button for me, and of course, enjoy. So to start you guys off, this is going to be my first test. This is what I want to test out. I want to see how many pops are we going to get out of our towers. And the best way to test that out is with these magical balloons right here. These magical balloons are balloons that basically kind of can't be popped. Or rather, you have a good idea of how many pops you can actually get out of them, comparing them to regular balloons. So you're noticing none of my towers are actually attacking right now, but I want to go over them really quickly and show you how we're going to run this experiment before I actually start it. So what I want to do is I want to fill up the entire screen with balloons, and then when I do that, I can activate a certain amount of lives. Just say I have 1 life or 1,000,000 lives or whatever. My towers will officially start attacking. So I do want to fill up the screen before I start doing that so we don't waste any of our pops or waste any of our issues with location or positioning of our towers. Because if I just throw one here and one here and one here, you know, that might make a smidge of a difference in the actual amount of pop and power that we get, and that can be a little bit upsetting because you guys always, you know, even if it's 100 pops off or 200 pops off, that could really mess with our total experiment here. Also, the longer our experiment lasts, the better off our number is going to be, so we're going to run it for about a minute here. So what we've got now is a base Robo Monkey. We've got a Robo Monkey with Laser Blast, a Robo Monkey with Plasma, a Robo Monkey with a bottom path, knockback, and then also I gave him the Ultra Vision, which, you know, let's be honest, probably won't matter for pops here, but it's important in the real game here. So let's give it a shot. So we began our test at exactly 3 minutes. You're going to notice that we are going to miss a smidge here and there, but overall we should average out to be roughly the same here with all of our towers. You are noticing the one thing that's going on is definitely this knockback is messing up our towers quite a bit. In fact, this Laser Vision Monkey, I think we're going to have to retest him in particular, because he's definitely missing more than he probably should have, and his pop count is definitely lower than it should be. So let's run this until 4 minutes here. We can speed this up, and then right at 4 minutes, we're going to delete all the balloons off of the screen here and see what our pop counts look like. All right, at 4 minutes. All right, so now, again, this is the one tower that I really want to kind of go back and retest, because I could definitely see he was missing and things like that. But everybody else should be pretty accurate here. Our basic Robo Monkey's got 18,464 pops. Okay. Our Laser Vision, only 19,507. So with our current test, he did not do a very good job popping more balloons than just kind of basic Robo Monkey. But again, I think that's up to some sort of error in our testing here. Then we've got the Plasma Robo, which really did a crazy job here. We've got almost triple the pops of our basic Robo Monkey here. Plasma Blast seems to be an extremely important and good upgrade to have for our Robo Monkey here. But now we go down to the bottom down here, and we're going to look at this guy. Ooh, knockback. No extra pops compared to this guy, which is pretty much exactly what we're expecting out of this guy. This doesn't give him any extra pops. It just slows the balloons down, allows him to keep them on the screen for a little longer, which is a benefit in itself, but will not affect popping power. We're expecting the exact same thing with this guy. Again, you can tell just a smidge of a different pop count between these three. This does not give them any extra popping power. It just gives them something to kind of keep control of the balloons over here. So I'm going to run this experiment one more time with the big boys here. And what we're going to do is we're going to, again, just check our pop count out with not just 999, but instead of 999 times, I think, 5 or 6. So we really are maxing out the amount of popping power here. But really what we want to test out is just those top path Robo Monkeys and whether or not they are worth it to get those upgrades. Because right now, it definitely seems like the Plasma is the way to go, but you never know what we're going to do here. So we're just going to test it for a random amount of time here. It doesn't actually matter exactly what we get to. And we're going to exit out of these balloons. As far as pop count goes, we got 15,000 for the base. We've got 17,000 only for the Laser Blast. What? And then 39,000 for that Plasma Blast. So one thing you're noticing for Shiznit all right, is that this Laser Blast does almost nothing to our popping power. It means this guy's not really important at all. Don't get this guy unless you're planning on getting the Plasma Blasts, in which case you should definitely get this guy because he's freaking rocketed it. He's got nearly triple the popping power of our base Robo Monkey. Now I want to run this experiment one more time with a very, very common setup here, the Alchemist. If you're buying really expensive towers like this, usually it's worth it to go for an Alchemist here. So we want to see how is this going to affect our popping power, and should we even get an Alchemist on these guys? I'm going to pretty much say almost a guaranteed yes, but I guess you never know. Let's give this a shot. We're going to start it at 10:55 here and run it for an entire minute. 53, 54, 55. All right, let's test this out, guys. What is your guess on popping power? I'm going to guess the Plasma Blast absolutely owns, but it's actually going to be a smaller gap now that we've got more damage out of our other Robo Monkeys here. So let's see. We've got 24,000 for this guy, 28,000 for this guy. We've got a very small change between those two, but 60,000 for this guy. Again, not quite triple. I don't know. I would say that the Alchemists do give you that extra popping power that you probably want to get here, but kind of odd that the Plasma Blast is just so absolutely dominating with our Robo Monkey here. So we're going to run a very similar experiment here with a technological terror this time around, because one of the main things about a tech terror is that it's supposed to give you just generally more popping power. So will the Laser Blast and Plasma Blast be now similarly ineffective compared to these other upgrades, and just make it so getting a base tech terror might actually be a better upgrade than trying to get Plasma Blast on these guys? Well, let's test it out. Let's get going and give ourselves 1 billion lives. But I gotta see the time. So let's start it at 14 minutes. All right, after 1 minute of testing, these are the numbers that we've got, guys. A base tech terror is going to get us 28,000 pops. Actually, not as great as I would have thought compared to just a regular Robo Monkey here. For an extra $20,000, this guy did not get that much extra popping power. When we move up to the Laser Blast here, 31,000. Ooh, so insignificant here. Almost worthless. And then our Tech Terror with Plasma Blast, though, gonna be nearly double what our just base Tech Terror here is at this point. So I think it's pretty clear, guys. The Plasma Blast on this Tech Terror is almost an absolute necessity if you're trying to go for the top path here. If you are trying to go for the bottom path, though, just keep in mind that that's not going to give you that much extra popping power. It's just going to be a base guy over here, but with some extra bonuses, like having the ability to knock back or slow down MOABs, and, of course, having that extra cam detection if you can't get a village for some reason. This is a very difficult test to actually run because for Sun Avatars, there's really not much going on with their upgrades. So we can run all of our tests all at the same time, and I'm guessing we're going to get very, very similar numbers for pretty much everything. What you've got to understand about a Sun Avatar is that obviously Epic Range is not going to affect the popping power all that much. And the Ultra Vision on this guy, or the knockback, is not going to affect its popping power against these balloons very much. They both do support the Sun Avatar in its own way, either giving you a bunch of extra range, or allowing you to hit back MOABs and things like that, and knock back balloons, which is very helpful in its own way, but will not affect this experiment very much. But the last thing that I did want to test out is see if the Stronger Stim and the Perishing Potions is going to affect our popping power at all. So let's check this out and go for as many as we possibly can here and start this up at 18 minutes and run it for a full minute here just so we can kind of keep things even. So after running this test for 1 minute, I have noticed something interesting already. Our base Super Monkey here is going to get about 20,412. So if we get more than 20,412 by any significant amount, we know that something's going on here, something interesting. And we're going to notice with the Ultra Vision, no change here, 20,358, something exactly what we're expecting here, pretty much the exact same here, but interestingly enough, the Epic Range upgrade has given us a lot more pops. You might ask, why is that a thing? Well, a lot of people don't know this, but NinjaCube recently changed it, so the Super Range upgrade is going to actually basically double your Pierce for a base Super Monkey. So if we just send out, if we delete all of these guys... Oh, last thing, before we kind of test this out here. The alchemized Super Monkey Sun Avatar here got 34,000 pops. So comparatively speaking here, that's a pretty significant change. I think you should always alchemize your Sun Avatars, guys. Don't leave them blank. Get that upgrade here. You're going to almost double your popping power. I mean, what are we talking here? 67% or something like that of your popping power? That's an extra chunk of money when you're spending already $25,000 on almost $30,000 in a tower to buff him with a $5,000 tower and get almost double. Seems awesome. So going back to the epic range upgrade here, what are we dealing with? Why is this end up giving us more popping power at all? Well, it's seemingly a change with the super range upgrade that's giving us all of these benefits. So we're just going to set out these balloons. I'm not going to give it a certain time limit or anything like that. I just want to like set out a few balloons, kind of get this started and see where we're at with our pops. We're going to notice 300, 600, 1,000. What the heck is going on here? This is ridiculous. Range upgrades giving us extra pierce? That doesn't make much sense, but it actually does make much sense. Because what we're doing here is we're basically getting 1 pop per shot with this guy, we're basically getting 2 pops per shot with this guy, and we're basically getting 3 pops per shot with this guy. So the super range and the epic range are giving you that extra pierce from 1 to 2 to 3. That's a pretty magnificent jump right there, and that makes those range upgrades not just silly little $1,000 things that maybe you should add on if you really feel like it. It seems like you should almost always get these upgrades when you're playing with this. So definitely keep that in mind. Even though knockback is nice against those balloons guys, it seems like epic range is kind of the way to go with those sun avatars. It just seems like it's solid. For this experiment, we're testing out the bottom path super monkeys. Now again, I want to try to test this out in as realistic way as I possibly can, so we're actually going to run 2 experiments with these guys. We're going to run them against our invisible balloons like usual, and then we're going to try to send out just a crap ton of Zomagods or bad balloons or something that they can't pop, and see how much damage difference we're actually going to incorporate here. So what we've got this time around is just a regular Dark Knight, a Dark Knight with Laser Blast, Dark Knight with Plasma Blast. We want to test out with a Dark Knight with Super Range and with Epic Range because those seem to actually affect the amount of popping power we're getting. And then we're going to test out a Dark Knight with just a regular Alchemist here and kind of think about if that's going to be necessary or wanted as a tower upgrade. Because when you're incorporating these things, if you're spending $30,000, getting an Alchemist seems almost minuscule, but when you're only spending maybe $7,000, getting a $5,000 Alchemist is a pretty big difference here, and it might not be worth it. So let's run our test again for a full minute here, starting at 24:30. 25:30 coming up. Boom. All right. So where are we at with these? I'm actually a little curious how this is going to go down. We've got only a minuscule 3,000 for this guy. I mean, comparatively, the Robo Monkey was at what, like 18,000 or something like that? What? That seems terrible. But again, he's designed against MOABs, not against balloons. So this should be pretty low, I guess. The Laser Blast, not much more. Again, kind of similar to the Robo Monkey here, guys. And then a pretty big change to the Plasma Blast. But, yeah, just about triple for our Plasma Blast. Very similar numbers for these guys. Moving on to the Elk Puffed Robo Monkey, we are going to double our popping power, which to most people is maybe not worth it, but it's right around the edge of you probably do want to alchemize this guy as far as just regular balloons are concerned. As far as super range goes, oh no. We barely got anything on top of this guy, man. Only 3750 and 4368 for the epic range on this guy. Seems like the super range and epic range on this guy does not make much of a difference. You're definitely going to want to go Plasma Blast on this guy. There's just no way around it. The range does not seem to do very much over here for this guy, almost at all, guys. So I reset my pop count to 0. We're going to set ourselves to 999 lives here. And we're going to again start at 2730 here. We're going to see about how many pops we can get out of popping bad balloons this time and see if that's going to make a difference. I have to rerun my experiment, and I might have to run it for a little bit less long than I want to. Actually, we're just going to wait until we run out of lives here because these bad balloons are actually killing us the 999 and the most amount of lives that we can take here. So we're trying to max out our popping power here, and everybody will stop attacking at the same time because, again, it'll just be 0 lives. So we'll run it out until it runs out. Even though the time won't be exactly the way it is, we can compare them to each other at the very least. All right, so that's done. Let's get rid of these bad balloons and check our pop count. We're going to be at 21,000 for this guy. Woo! Way less than a minute, and we're, like, getting ridiculous amounts of pops out of this guy. 26,000, we do make a difference with the Laser Blast, but nothing special. 60K for the Plasma. Again, this one's probably the closest yet to tripling from our original pop count. With the Alchemist, we don't get that much of a difference. It's kind of like, we do. 36K. Again, almost doubling. And seemingly is going to probably be a worthwhile upgrade on this guy. And definitely see that working out well for us. And again, sadly, the super range and the epic range are really not doing that much for us. They're a decent help, and they seem to be a bigger difference than against the balloons. but nothing spectacular when you can just go for that Plasma Blast and get nearly triple that popping power. Even without that knockback upgrade, I think the Plasma Blast is probably going to be a better upgrade in almost all situations. So as usual, guys, there is no clear-cut 100% this is the tower that you should get answer. But I think we've come up with a lot of conclusions that kind of just make sense. Starting with the Sun Avatar. Epic Range seems to be a very, very good upgrade to get, and you almost always want to alchemize them. It does seem like it's worth it if you just alchemize the Sun Avatar. The Robo Monkey is very, very good with Plasma Blast. Going to be the best way to go with this guy. Highly recommend him. But once you get with that Tech Terror, it's kind of a mixed bag. You can kind of go any which way you want, but Plasma Blast is still going to be that way that you probably want to go. When you get to this guy, I think it's still Plasma Blast, guys. You're already going to have that knockback unless you absolutely need that weirdo range for some odd reason. Just get this guy with Plasma Blast, and feel free to alchemize if you want, but that's definitely sort of a nuanced way of maybe getting pops extra, maybe not getting pops extra. So if you guys learned anything in this video, make sure you press that like button for me. Make sure you subscribe. If you guys had any other fun ideas for me, make sure you let me know in the comments below. And of course, have a super duper delicious day.